WellingtonHomeImprovements.com question of the day. House Republicans have proposed eliminating Minnesota Care and replacing it with a plan that would force people to use MNsure instead. Is it a good idea? Vote yes or no at TwinCitiesNewsTalk.com or on the Twin Cities News Talk Facebook page.
Welcome back to Up and Adam. I'm Jack Tomczak. That is Andrew Lee.
Good morning.
The live video feed is up. Go to centralmediaservices.com/upandadam. And we'll have the links Facebooked and tweeted out as well. Get to see how good looking Andrew is today.
Really?
Above and beyond.
Really good looking.
Above and beyond.
I smell good, too. I mean, you can't get that
really
over the
tell
camera.
That over the,
but
right, 'cause it's
I really do.
smell-o-vision.
Must be that ladies' deodorant you used this morning.
It might be.
Mm-hmm.
Strong enough for a man.
On the
Made for a
phone
woman.
from D.C. is Congressman Tom Emmer. Good morning again, Tom.
Good morning, Jack. And Andrew, it's got to be the Muscatel. You're still using that, right?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, okay.
Of course. No, I had to use my wife's deodorant. I ran out of deodorant. I had to use my wife's deodorant today, so I smell like mango.
The organic soap, and
right?
water, and attaboy. And you've got your own, that sweater that you knitted, that one?
My crocheted, I'm wearing my crocheted
Shorts.
Yeah.
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 All right, Tom.
You remember.
Yes, I do. You're a happening guy.
Thank you.
I was perusing your Facebook page last night, and I noticed you have some data and some graphics about tax complexity. We've just passed April 15th. Everybody should have their taxes paid by now. What is tax complexity, and why is it bad?
There's a study that was put out by the National Taxpayers Union that actually looked at how much cost we incur as the result of excessive regulations, excessive paperwork, all these extra things that government makes you do when it comes to paying your taxes. So, I mean, I think what you were looking at is the numbers that they came up with. It was almost $234 billion in extra cost incurred but because of these regulations and the complexity of the system, period. And over 6.1 billion hours that we have lost in human time because we have to deal with all of the complexities of this ridiculous tax code.
So is this time and money?
Yep.
Is this people sitting at their kitchen table, frustrated, doing their taxes?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
That's what this is.
You know, it's either MNsure or it's your taxes. Either way, you're just wasting all kinds of time. It feels like you're running up the down escalator and not getting anywhere. That's what it is. And I'll tell you what, Jack, what we try to do, if you looked at it in detail, is we tried to give people a reference point, because these numbers are huge, right? But people don't understand sometimes when they see a number, we just get numb to it because they just seem to get bigger and bigger. So
it stops meaning anything.
Yeah, it's kind of like the LeBron contract, right? They just you don't understand or you can't contemplate it. So we gave some examples. 6.1 billion hours of productivity that has been lost by Americans because of the complexity of the tax code. And we put a graphic up there. What could you do with that time? How about you could have run 1.5 billion marathons.
Wow.
You could have walked around the world 242,834 times.
I think you're overestimating our speed.
Well, not yours, Jack. Now, for Andrew and me, it's a different story.
I could have run a quarter of a marathon.
Yeah, well, no, I was talking about around the world.
And I see you
briskly walked.
Watch all 8 Harry Potter movies 305 million times. That's an enormous amount of time spent by Americans doing their taxes.
And if you ever, if you want to lower the tax avoidance, make the taxes easier to do, make them simpler. I mean, a big part of tax avoidance is just they want to avoid not so much the taxes, but the compliance costs of doing taxes.
Why don't we scrap the current code, Andrew, and why don't we put something in that's not only clear and easy to understand, but honest?
Right.
Why don't we put something in where everybody has the same responsibility, where everybody is able to, and the IRS should not be your number one agency. You don't need all these extra things. Just make it easy to understand. Then the politicians can't play favorites.
Right. The tax code is power.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It is the government wielding its power and influence to try to influence behavior, to try to reward people in industries that it likes and punish people in industries that it doesn't like.
Now, Tom, there's a million different ways to reform the tax code: flat tax, fair tax, value-added tax. What is your preferred reform?
Well, now that's not fair, Jack. But I've always said, and why I say it's not fair, because my friends with the fair tax, they will call instantly. I've always been a flat tax guy, but I've told the fair tax folks that I'm absolutely willing to look at that in more detail. Fact is, bottom line is, we have to do something different.
Mm-hmm.
And in the meantime, there's this mantra all the time about how the legislature doesn't get anything done, Congress doesn't get anything done. Did you guys know that yesterday on the floor of the U.S. House of Representatives, we actually had a vote to repeal the death tax? There's some incredibly interesting stories. There's Representative Kristi Noem from South Dakota.
Mm-hmm.
She was 21 years old. She was in college when her dad died suddenly. She was faced with this. She either had to go and get a loan to pay the death tax on the family's estate, or she had to sell it.
That's insane.
Wow.
That's what this thing does. And by the way, I was
That
told
is so unethical.
Well, but here's what she did. So Kristi Noem actually went home at age 21, had to leave college, as I understand it, got the loan, and ran the ranch, because it's not really a farm in South Dakota.
Right.
And now she represents the state of South Dakota in the U.S. House of Representatives. And you can imagine how she feels about this death tax. I was told in the last few days that among a whole bunch of reasons why the death tax is wrong, it's a declining source of federal revenues. The truly rich don't pay the death tax. All of these different things. You folks might be surprised to hear that it is the number one problem facing, as I understand it, first-generation African-American-owned businesses, because you want to pass the business on to your family members, whatever.
Of course you do.
But if someone passes away suddenly, they don't have the planning in place, guess what? You got to pay the government.
Yeah, and that erases all the progress that family made
You got
in
it.
building that business.
Right.
So now this is going to go over to the Senate, hopefully in the next week or two. And somebody on our side in the leadership told me that, because obviously I'm new, and I saw what happened with some of the other bills when we send them over there, and they can't get the 60 votes to get them to the floor, et cetera. So the question was, is this one, have you had a discussion with the folks in the Senate? Is this one going to get to the floor? And the response I got was, we don't know if we're going to be able to, the Senate's going to be able to get this thing through. And I thought, what a great defining act for the American public to see who is actually going to be on their side. And in the future, when we talk about 2016, whether it's Senate elections, whether it's U.S. House elections, whether it's the presidential election, it gives people an understanding of what is possible if we had a Republican in the Oval Office.
Yeah, what party's in charge of the Senate now?
Well, the majority belongs to the Republicans because of this wonderful 60-vote rule. Harry Reid, who's stepping down, still is able to block things. And at least up to this point, Jack, as you know, and I know you asked that rhetorical question because you already knew the answer.
Trained professional.
As you know, Mitch McConnell has not been willing, and his colleagues, to employ the nuclear option that their opponents, Mr. Reid and others, did some time ago.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I agree with you. Going in a presidential election, this is a good issue to have for our people. All right, David in Coon Rapids has a question.
Sure.
Morning, David.
Hello, Tom.
Hey, David, how are you?
Good. I was going to ask you about or urge you to go with the fair tax, but I guess you talked about that. So I guess I'll ask you my second question.
What's that?
Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
It's been reported that government workers owe thousands or even millions of dollars in back taxes, and there was a bill introduced in the House where government workers who have large outstanding tax bills would be terminated. I was shocked to find out that bill didn't pass. Did you vote yea or nay on that?
I don't think that came to the floor. I think if it didn't pass, you're talking about in committee, because that bill has not been on the floor. And by the way, where did you hear that it didn't pass? Because I thought that bill was introduced, but it hasn't been acted on yet.
We lost.
We dropped the call already, Tom. Sorry.
Okay.
Government work. So the bill was government workers who owed taxes would be let go?
The details I don't have in front of me, Jack, but my understanding is there is a problem. At least it's been reported. I haven't been doing, focusing on the details of this issue, but my understanding is there are some government employees who have delinquencies on their tax statements, and there was a proposal here in Congress that if you're not paying your taxes, you shouldn't be getting paid by the government.
I agree completely.
Yeah. Why? Yeah. What's the issue with that?
I'm not familiar with when the caller said that
Garnish their wages until they're caught up.
Well, think of it, though.
Well, there is that.
We have people who are paid by the government with tax dollars who have to pay taxes.
Sure, right.
Yeah,
Maybe just pay them less. Cut out the middleman. All right. Tom, Emmer, thank you very much for your time today. Appreciate that, and we'll talk to you next week.
Hey, nothing about the Wild, huh? Go Wild.
Go Wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, they won game one last night. That was good. Exciting. How far do you think they're going to go?
Series 4-2. You watch.
And how far do you think far do you think their playoff run goes?
I think it's going to be difficult the next round. Although it now looks, I was surprised. I've got Nashville making it through the thing to the final, and Chicago kind of surprised me the other night. They got dug into a hole about 3-0 and came back and won it in double overtime. So
Chicago's always tough in the postseason.
If Minnesota plays Chicago, I think Minnesota wins that series.
I think you're right. We'll keep our fingers crossed.
No, let's pray. All right, guys, have a great weekend.
Thanks, Tom. See you later.
Bye-bye.
I'm sorry, were you guys talking about hockey or something?
I think so. It might have been lacrosse.
I missed it. All right, when
Wild Swarm. I get them confused.
Return, Andrew offends me every day. He'll come back and tell us why that doesn't matter.
Up and at him now and Rush Limbaugh today at 11.
This is Twin Cities News Talk, AM 11.